How would you best describe the illness?
Like a rare neuromuscular junction. The nerves don't communicate correctly with the muscles. I start off like an iPhone. I have a full battery. And as the day goes, it's a little bit faster than an iPhone. So I can walk in here, Jaafar, and then if I feel like I got stressed or tired, I might not be able to use my legs. I went to 3 different neurologists. They just kept telling me, we're really not sure. We don't have an answer.
How long of a time period?
2 years. And I'm driving home. He goes, you're not crazy. You have Myasthenia Gravis. And I'm like, so, okay, for how long? There's a time frame for everything. Like, I'm sorry, forever. This is a chronic autoimmune. And I go, okay, will I be 100%? Will I be me? Will I be the old me?
Oof, that's difficult to say.
It drives you crazy. It really does. I did end up on antidepressants. It crushed me. Came to a point, I'm like, I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to be married. I am such a burden. I don't want to be here.
Are you actually alluding to the fact that you wanted to end it?
I don't know. I don't go down that rabbit hole anymore. It takes me to really dark places.
What did you learn about yourself during that period?
You always have fight left in you. As much as you think you don't, you always have fight left in you. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you're so strong, you're so strong, you're so resilient. I didn't have a choice.
Let's say it's not Jaafar sitting here. It's 30-year-old Rana.
Yeah.
Like, what's a conversation that you would like to have with her?
That's great.
0.02% of the people in the world have the autoimmune disease that Rana has. But what I'm 100% sure of is that you are going to be able to feel every single feeling that Rana has gone through. She stayed for a very long time not knowing what was wrong with her. And then Rana describes a rock bottom moment where she wished that she never existed and how she built herself back up from that. And prior to starting this conversation with Rana, before we turned the cameras on, I told her, what's so appalling to me in these stories is how little people can actually understand what she's going through. But at the same time, how important it is to listen to these stories. Because when you go through something that 0.02% of the people will ever be able to experience, you learn things about yourself that you never thought you could learn before. And that's what we're going to do here. Just have a small favor before we start the episode. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do. It helps the channel tremendously. And the only way it'll grow is with your support. Like this episode if you enjoy what you hear. And with that being said, let's get the show started.
Welcome aboard Middle East Airlines.
والمتوجهة إلى
طيران الشرق الأوسط يرحب بمدينة
The way that I usually start this off is self-introduction on your part.
Okay.
The way I'd like you to introduce yourself is the way that you see yourself. The physical manifestation of that is looking in the mirror. So when you do that, when you look in the mirror, who do you see?
Well, definitely see a new version of me than what I was used to. Somebody I learned to love. Excellent mom. Try to be a great wife, good daughter, sibling. So I try my best in that aspect. So I know it's not like a definitive answer, but it's an answer that means the world to me because,
What's interesting about that answer is usually wedding guests will say that, will say these things. A lot of times they don't know if they're a good husband or a good mom. And they'll be like, I am a husband or a mom. But they never give themselves the adjective that I'm a good one. I think this is one of the first times that someone says, no, I'm an excellent mom. So I think that's interesting to why you see that you're an excellent mom.
To be honest, my kids are everything to me, even though they really do get on my nerves sometimes and, they're boys and I try my best with them. I mean, with sports, with school, with school activities, even at home, I try to incorporate a lot of things that we can spend time together as a family. And that way they just know like, okay, my mom was there. And I think a lot of that comes from what I've dealt with before. And I used to overcompensate. And now I'm like, hey guys, yes, no. And it's kind of like, you can hate me or you can love me. And I try my best. And I think they kind of got to the point now where they're like, Mom, you're a good mom. You're the best mom. Even if they don't like me some days, because there's not a yes for everything all the time. And honestly, I give them so much of me that I'm confident enough to say I am a good mom. So.
How would you best describe the illness that you had?
So the illness that I deal with is like a rare neuromuscular junction disease. So the nerves don't communicate correctly with the muscles. So it's all voluntary muscles that I have just weaken. Okay, so there's this. I can walk in here, Jaafar, and then after sitting here, if I feel like I got stressed or tired or anything that may have triggered some sort of symptom, I might not be able to use my legs, you know, or I might not be able to use my arms. So really it's voluntary muscles only. So your jaw, your arms, your legs, your vision, you know, your eyelids. So things like that.
Your eyelids wouldn't work?
My eyelids will droop or they will flutter like a tremor, you know, like when you get like handshakes or your legs shake. So my eyelids would flutter because they're tired. So, you know, when you're at the gym and you're lifting weights and you'll see bodybuilders, they'll lift. And then once they're going for that last set, they're shaking because their muscles are like, okay, that's enough. Mine could be just from, okay, I'm looking, I'm staring at you, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then all of a sudden my eyes are tired. Like they'll start, and then I'll get a droopy eye.
Okay.
So these are considered voluntary muscles. So my tongue, you know, my jaw. So, you know, when I was first dealing with it, when I didn't have answers, I would go to like talk and I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired. I can't talk anymore. I'll start drooling, you know, and they mimic signs of stroke and things of that. And I've gone to the hospital and they're like, I don't know. Everything looks fine.
When did you first realize something was wrong?
2019.
Okay. Not too long ago.
It's been about 6 years ago. Yeah. Feels like yesterday, but yeah, it's been about 6 years now.
So what started happening? These symptoms started coming little by little?
You know, to be honest with you, weird story. I was taking somebody near and dear to our family for chemo treatments at Carmano's. And I took that upon myself. I was like, I want to take her. I want to, you know, I'll do this journey with her. No big deal. And I would go and I'm like, man, what do people do to deserve this? You know, and I'm sitting there and I'll keep her company. I'll go eat. I'll go walk around. I'll go sit in the courtyard, blah, blah, blah. And we'll leave. And a few weeks into that, you know, after talking to nurses and doctors, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, these people, what is it like? Are they doomed? Is it something like they do their chemo and then they feel better? Is it something they're going to live with forever? And, you know, I was getting all sorts of different answers depending on the person, depending on the type of treatment they're doing, the cancer they have. And I was just so, you know, astonished by like all the different answers and the different types of people I met, sick people, healthy people, you know. And while I was taking her, I'm like, man, I am getting tired. And my husband was like, you know, maybe this is too much on you. You got your kids are young, you're working, you're doing this, you're running around all day. Just, we'll get you some help with this. You know, I'll have other people go. I'm like, okay. So literally a week after, you know, her chemo treatment, I said, I'm going to work, dropped off my kids at daycare, and I get to work and I'm like, man, I am just tired. And I'm walking into work and I go, dude, it feels like my legs are cemented to the ground. They weighed like 500 pounds each. And my sister's standing at the front counter and it's a good distance. And she goes, what's wrong? And I go, my legs hurt. And she goes, they hurt? Why? What'd you do? And I said, nothing. So I looked at her and I go, I got to go home. And she goes, you good? I go, no, I don't know. I don't feel right. So I went home and I just knocked out and literally slept all day. Called my husband. I said, you got to get the kids from daycare. I am exhausted. He's like, what's wrong? I go, I don't know. My legs hurt. In reality, they didn't hurt. It just wasn't something that I was used to. And the next day, I got up. I'm like, oh, I feel fine. Thank God. You know, alhamdulillah, I'm good. Walking into the cleaners, and I'm, you know, 15 steps in, and my legs all of a sudden are super heavy again. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Is it here? You know, but me not realizing that I live a very routine life. I woke up, I got my kids ready, I took them to daycare, I left daycare. I got to the cleaners, I start walking, and as soon as I started walking, because, you know, at the daycare, you walk in, it's 2 steps to the door, and you give the kids and you leave, you know. So I'm like, is it when I'm starting to walk that this is happening? So I looked at her and she goes, she's like, stop. I'm like, no, I am not okay. I left and I went to my primary care, and he wasn't there. He had a covering physician that day. And I said, this is the situation. And he goes, oh, sounds like MS.
What's MS?
Multiple sclerosis. So I was like, what? I was devastated because overall I'm a healthy person. I'm like, are you crazy? This, that. And he goes, it sounds like it, but we got to do testing, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. He sends me for an MRI. I did an MRI. This just continued day after day after day. Every day was the same. But it got worse because I would go drop off my kids at daycare and I couldn't keep my eyes open. And I'm like, I got to go home and sleep. I'll go home, I'll sleep. I got to get them at 3. Wake up, get them at 3, come back home. I'm sleeping all day.
And would your body sleep like all this time?
It would sleep. It was like as if I was intoxicated on something. I couldn't use anything. If I tried to walk, I would like literally drag my legs. If I wanted to shower, I would have to like put my arm on the wall of the shower to do my hair because I couldn't lift them. You know, if I wanted to brush my teeth, I'd have to set my arm on the counter and hold my toothbrush.
Like physically, you couldn't
Physically,
do that.
if I did, it literally would just go down. My legs, the more I walked, they would shake like crazy, like literally wobbly. And then I would just have to sit because I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down face first. And it's not worth it, you know? And I would try, like, and mind you, I worked out. I had an overall healthy lifestyle. I had lost weight. I was just in a good place. And I was so confused. And I went back to the doctors and he wasn't there. And the covering physician was like, I don't know what's going on, but hey, do you have anxiety? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you're not an anxious person. I'm like, no. And he's like, are you depressed? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, you keep crying. And I go, I keep crying because I don't feel good. And like, I'm not really getting anywhere and I don't feel better. And it's like insane. And he's like, well, I'm going to write you like a low dose of, antidepressants. And I'm like, I'm not like, it's not.
Is that the first thing he tried to prescribe, antidepressants?
Well, it was one of the first treatments because in all fairness, I did go like 5-6 times within a few weeks time span. And every time I was going in there, I was crying. But again, I was crying because I was just helpless.
Yeah, you don't know what to feel.
I didn't know what was wrong with me. And again, they did blood work, they did an MRI, and the MRI, they're like, oh, we see, a small lesion here, a small lesion there, but they're not concerning. Blood work is coming back normal. And I was like, Doc, it's not depression. I'm telling you, I'm not a depressed person. I don't know, to me, like depression, people are going to hate me for this, but to me, depression has a root cause. Mm-hmm. You know what causes depression, like why you're depressed. Maybe some people don't, but deep down, there's something that can make you feel down. It could be something from 30 years ago. It could be something that happened, more recently, or maybe somebody caused this, but to me, I'm like, I'm not depressed. And he's like, well, let's just try and see. I go, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to. It's not depression. My legs aren't working. My arms aren't working. My face isn't working, And he was like, okay, whatever you want. And the following day I called and I said, is my primary care there? They're like, yeah. I went in and he goes, I know I seen your notes and this and that. And I'm sorry, but it's just because it just seemed like you're very down. And I said, yeah, I'm down. I don't feel good. I can't say it enough. It's not me. Like he sees me for annuals, and I'm like, you see me, like I'm a bubbly personality. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I'm not down. I don't just cry for no reason, And he goes, well, if you want to go see a neurologist, let's do that. Let's start there. And and that's where it all began, really.
So that rabbit hole of you going to the neurologist until finding what the actual problem was, how long of a time period?
2 years.
2 years you didn't know what was wrong?
No.
What were like the recurring themes in those 2 years? What were you told?
MS, anxiety, and stress. And I'm not joking. I would go there and I'm like, what? Well, everything came back normal. And I'm like, well, you're not doing the right, you're doing like the basic testing. You're doing an MRI, they did spinal taps on me like 3-4 times, and that's where they put a needle into your spinal cord to, remove fluid and test that fluid to see if there's any like certain antibodies and stuff in there that can indicate multiple sclerosis. And they did it, and it was negative. So I started going to doctor's offices with a folder. And I'm like, I'm not being tested for MS. Like, this is how many times I was tested for it. I'm not doing another spinal tap. This is how many times I've done it. This is what's come back from it. These are the MRIs I've done. I'm not doing another one. These are the things I've done. And, I went to 3 different neurologists because they just kept telling me, we're really not sure. We don't have an answer for you. Unfortunately, there's no answer for
That's difficult hearing it from a doctor.
you. And you know what? It's a lot of times they see you come back and they're like, oh my God, what does she want?
Yeah.
And many times I've gone and they're like, okay, so if you're in pain, and I'm like, I'm not in pain, I'm just uncomfortable. My muscles would eventually hurt because I would try to just kind of do something, try to walk a little more, try to lift something, try to bathe my kids, and it was hard. And I was like, I'm not here, for pain medicine. I'm not here for anything other than something to alleviate me from these symptoms.
Did it gradually get worse?
It did.
Okay. And so you said that when you were walking into the cleaners, you felt your legs were heavy. So were there like these triggers where this stuff started to happen, or did it become just like, no, it's 7 days a week, like basically 24/7, you're feeling these symptoms?
At that time, it was 24/7.
So 24/7.
From the first day I walked into the cleaners that I am telling you, it was my legs, and it was always my legs for about 2 weeks.
Straight.
And then it was like, I was trying to get some answers and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, now my arms are tired, and like my back and my face. Like after like a few months, it started to affect my jaw. So I would notice because my husband would tell me like, hey, eat that, eat, do this, do that, and I'll go to eat. And I'm like, I can't chew. I'm struggling to chew, because my jaw would get so tired that I would literally hold it, and then I'm like, I'm done eating. I don't care how hungry I was. I would literally just give up because there was nothing I can do. There was days my husband would be like, hello, I'm talking to you. And I'm like, I couldn't talk. I'm like, I can't, like the words won't come out. I'm like, I'm trying, but I'm trying to get up, and he'll be like, are you okay? Do you need, and I'm like, I'm trying to move my arm to tell you, I'm like, I'm good. I'm trying to just give you like and he was just, he was so patient. And
wow. So it probably became a hazard to drive if your legs
I didn't go anywhere.
Okay. You couldn't even drive.
I would take my kids to daycare, and literally it was like a 3-minute drive from my house, and come back home. And honestly, after like a few weeks, like when it started to progressively get worse, my mom would help me. My husband would grab them, my sister. There would be days I'll be like, yeah, I can't take them. So if somebody can come grab them for me, somebody come dress them for me. Like imagine
but
a t-shirt and shorts.
2 years is a long time.
2 years is a long time.
What did you think was the problem?
I had no idea.
You had no idea at all?
No, I really had no. I searched and put in my symptoms, and I had to go to WebMD. You have to like Google search stuff sometimes, and I'm looking at these things. I'm like, what the heck are these? What are these things? And I'm like, no, tested for that. No. And the one I have was not on that list.
Really?
No.
So you went through COVID, basically, that way, 2019 till
A
2021.
mess. COVID didn't affect me because I was dead. I was literally dead. I felt dead.
That's difficult to say.
I felt dead, you know. And it's funny because after COVID, you know, when the world started coming back together, and I actually was diagnosed end of 2021.
How did that diagnosis come about?
So I found a neurologist that I love very much. He's near and dear. He does no wrong to me, even if he tells me things sometimes, and I'm like, you know, he does no wrong in my eyes because he listened to me. He believed me. And I was dismissed by a lot of neurologists that were like, we don't know, I'm sorry. And, you know, this neurologist that I found, I seen him, I said, Doc, I need help. And he's like, okay. And I go, here's my binder, you know, here's all my stuff. These are all the tests. And, you know, doctors, sometimes they don't like to take other doctors' work, correct. So he was like, well, can I run a few tests? I was like, well, I'm not doing a spinal tap. I'm not doing, you know, certain things that will just cause more stress on my body, you know, things like that. And he was okay with it. And he ran a couple tests and he goes, okay, nothing came back. And I said, okay. And he goes, but something is wrong. I see something is wrong. I'm trying to walk and my legs are doing like, they can't hold me. I'm showing him that I'm trying to tie my hair and I can't keep my arms up, you know. And he's like, well, something is wrong. We just don't have an exact answer. So, you know, he was awesome. He referred me out to muscle specialists, other doctors. So they worked as a team. He sent me out to somebody to do a muscle biopsy where they remove like a piece of your muscle tissue and send it in for lab. And he sent me to a different muscle specialist that does specific testing for this specific condition that I have. And that's the doctor that had called me, and he was like, because he was doing the testing, and I laid there for 5 hours while he poked me. It's like, it's called a single fiber EMG. And what they do is they just repeatedly just electrocute the same muscle to see if, you know, it responds
The same way
after each zap, or if it lessens. And that's what my condition is. Like, if I could walk in here, but, you know, I might not be able to get up and walk out, or I can walk in the mall, but I might not be able to walk the whole way. I could probably walk into Nordstrom, but I can't continue through the rest of the mall because the more I walk, the more tired my legs get, you know? Mm-hmm. And that doctor, I was laying down and he's poking literally right in my forearm, and he's doing it, and, you know, and he's, and I'm like, oh God. And I go, I know, there's nothing there, you know, because after so many tests, you're like, I just did this for hours and hours and hours, and this guy's, you know, huffing and puffing, and his arm's gonna fall off poking me, and haram, you know. And he goes, okay, you know, he pats me on the back when I was done. He goes, you have a good day. I said, you too. I go, I'm not crazy, right? And he goes, crazy? No, you're not crazy. I said, you sure? And I started laughing. I go, because that's how I'm starting to feel at this point. And he goes, I don't think you're crazy, but I'll give you a call as soon as I have the testing done. I said, okay. And I literally left, and I'm driving home, and he calls, and he goes, hey, Rana, it's, you know, Dr. So-and-so. And I said, hi, Doc. And he goes, you're not crazy. And I said, what's going on? And he goes, you have Myasthenia Gravis. I said, what? And I started laughing. And he goes, I have people, you know, that can help you cope. And I said, no, I'm so happy. Like, thank you. Thank you, because maybe I have, you know, a way out, you know, a treatment, something where I don't feel like I'm literally dead all the time, you know. And he's like, okay. He goes, so I'm going to contact your neurologist, and, you know, I'm going to send some medication to your pharmacy, and you could start those tomorrow. See how you respond. If you have any issue, let us know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And honestly, that was the beginning.
Myasthenia Gravis?
Yeah.
Does he explain what that means? Because you've felt the symptoms now for 2 years, but does he kind of go in a little more and explain what that actually means?
So my neurologist, he had mentioned it to me, and he explained it to me, and he said, it's so rare. I doubt it. He's like, but it doesn't hurt. After all you've done, it won't hurt. Let's just see what's going on. But he's like, I just really, it's so unlikely, but we'll give it a shot. And he nailed it.
Oof.
You know?
What were your initial feelings? Because obviously you just explained the feeling of relief you had. At least I know what's wrong.
Yeah.
Correct?
And that's really big relief.
Big relief there. Are there like feelings that accompany that? Of like, am I going to have this forever? Is this who I am now?
Right. So I was relieved at that point, and I just really didn't know what came with it. You know, I was excited I had an answer, and I'm driving home, and I'm just, you know, I turned on the radio, and I haven't done that in a minute because I was just so down, and I was like just so unwell, and I'm like, oh my God, I could finally have like something to help me. Hopefully it helps. So, you know, what's the medication like? What are the symptoms? Because he did mention on the phone, if you respond badly, contact me or your neurologist. And I was like, you know, and I'm driving home and I was so happy. And I called my husband. I was cracking up. I said, guess what? He goes, what? I go, I have myasthenia gravis. He's like, okay, you know? And I'm like, I have an answer. And he goes, okay, but what does that mean? I go, I'm not sure. I'll let you know. Because I had a follow up with my neurologist. And I went to my neurologist, and I told you when I was at Carmano's, I was talking to these doctors, and they were telling me, oh, this person, you know, 5 months of chemo here, this person's a year, and then, you know, hopefully if it all goes well, they're done, you know, but just testing, obviously, to make sure there's no reoccurrence and stuff like that. So, you know, I go to my neurologist, and he says, you know, Rana, these are the medications you need to take. These are immune suppressants you have to take. And I didn't comprehend it right away. And I'm like, so, okay, how long? You know, that was my initial, for how long? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, for how long? How long do I, because in my head, I'm like, okay, there's a time frame for everything. Because everybody always says like, oh, you know, alhamdulillah, it's not cancer, and it's not cancer. And then you know, you meet people that have dealt with this, and you know people that have survived this, and they went through the struggle, and they're done, and they ring their bell, and they move on, and they still at the back of, you know, in the back of their mind, it's nerve-wracking, and you get scared because what if it comes back? What does that mean? You know? So to me, I was like, okay, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then I can like go on with my life and, you know, maybe still be worried, but maybe get like ultimate healing. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. He just looked at me and he's like, I'm sorry, forever. And I'm like, forever? What do you mean forever? And he's like, this is a chronic autoimmune, and unfortunately, you know, these are the treatment options we have. And I go, okay, will I be 100%? Will I be me? Like, will I be the old me?
Oof.
You know, because that's with chronic illness, a lot of people, you know, they'll say like, oh, but you're not, you know, you're doing better. You look, but they don't realize like what comes with it. You know, I miss the old me. You know,
that's a tough question to ask.
You know,
will I be me?
And unfortunately, I won't. You know, but I learned to cope with that. I learned to love the new me, with the medication every 4 hours, with my treatments, with, you know, and I learned to cope with that. It took a while. It took a long while. But I did.
So you still have myasthenia gravis?
Oh yeah, it's forever.
And is it like now just under control?
Yeah, so with my medications, with my treatments that I do, it just kind of keeps me afloat.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't feel like a zombie. But I still know my limits. I know I can't go run at the park.
Running is no.
I mean, I just won't respond very well. My legs won't keep up, you know. I know what puts me into flares and what doesn't. And when I flare, it's not good. You know, I'm really, really tired. And it's not tired like, you know, Jaafar, you worked X amount of hours and man, I need to lay down. I'm tired. It's not that kind of tired. It's kind of like a bad tired. Like There's no really, really hard. It's really hard to explain. It's like you're just not in your body. Your body's like, man, just get up, but you just literally can't. And your brain is so exhausted that you just like, you're at rock bottom. And that's the tired that I feel when I, flare up or get into those situations. So
a lot of you listening might have a personal brand or might have a business or might have an idea that you want to start and don't know how yet. One very important part of every business nowadays and every brand is the way that you appear online for everybody to see. It's your visual identity. Where brands fall off is when they don't know how to communicate that to people, because they post about it and then their posts feel like noise and they feel like their idea isn't good, when the matter of the fact is their idea was actually very good. But there's a social language there that you have to learn. There's a specific way where you have to talk to people, where they'll be more receptive of the information that you have to give them. And that's not your job to know as a business owner. There are specialists that's whole job is to do that for you. And that's why I'm very heavily involved at our work at Keep Creating Media, because what we wanted to do is take that burden off of the business owner, off of the visionary, and let them focus on their product and focus on their service and focus on their brand, while we focus on telling the world what your brand is. And because you're listening, I'm not from here, when you apply to Keep Creating and mention not from here on your application, you will get a discounted first month of services. And we will personally work together to build your brand to how you see fit. Go to keepcreatingmedia.com to start your application or hit the link in the description below. And now back to the episode. Were you able to kind of understand at this point how to avoid those flares in your day-to-day, or do they still happen? Like, for example, if I ask you right now, when was the last time you had like those flares? When was the last time you felt that? When would you say?
that was November after my kids' playoff football game.
Oh, this past November.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened then?
We had our kids, my kids, they busted their butt all football season, and they had a playoff game, and I was so excited. We woke up and I was like, man, I'm a little tired today, but you know what? We're going to get through it. Big day, big day. And my kids were up, they were ready. They had my stuff ready. They picked my outfit, Mom, you got to wear this to our game. And they grabbed their little fat heads, because I have little fat heads from, so they were like super ready for this game. And we went, and, unfortunately it wasn't a fair game. It really wasn't. But I think just the disappointment I sensed in my kids, in the team as a whole, the letdown, it's discouraging, because they felt like they were robbed of this game. And I really thought I was a lot stronger than that, So I'm going down to the field, and you guys good, and I'm giving them hugs, and Khalas, we'll go out to eat. It's all right next season. They were heartbroken, and it hurt me, because they really did bust their butts, like really, really, really hard. Like, my kids are the best D tackle of their age group. I might be biased, but they're, Bazzy Bro tackles. They're on TikTok and Instagram. They're awesome. They drive me nuts, but they're awesome. And, they really, really tried. So I think it got the best of me, because the next day I woke up and I was just drooling everywhere, and I was just not feeling good. And I was like, man, not again. Because if my arms and legs are tired, and my face is like a little tired, I'm like, it's all good, I'll just sleep it out. And alhamdulillah, with my medication and treatment, I can, within a few days be like, A-okay. But when you start drooling, it's not a good sign, because that means it's affecting like my throat muscles, and it can affect my breathing. So if it affects my breathing, there's a chance that I can be put on a ventilator and stuff like that. So I got to take care of myself to be able to take care of my kids. So, a lot of times stress does flare up a lot of autoimmunes, not just, Myasthenia Gravis, but a lot of autoimmunes are triggered by stress. So unfortunately, that last one, that's what it was from. So I have to like not be so invested in my kids' sports, but you know, I can't help it.
But for 7 months so far, you haven't really had any problems with the disease.
No, alhamdulillah. I mean, it's been just, you know, again, I learned how to maneuver around certain things. Like if my kids want to go to the park, okay, you want to go to the park, let me relax, you know, let me eat something, let me just hydrate, let me just, you know, just chill before I go and maybe exhaust myself. But a lot of times I can exhaust myself, and then I'll just sleep the next day and, you know, pray that it just gets better. And sometimes with my medication, it does, you know, like, okay, Rana, you rested enough, you're good.
Do you know what percentage of the population has that disease?
You know, when I was diagnosed, it had said 2 in 500,000, I believe.
It's 0.02%.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a low percentage. And
That's like extremely low.
yeah. But you know what? Somebody did hear about my story a few years back, and they had very similar symptoms to like as me. And I felt like I helped one person, because the doctor that seen me was like, oh my God, I had somebody like you, hold on. And he sent her for the same testing, and she had it. So this girl for 3 years has been begging somebody to help her, and you know, it's rare. And they don't test for these. Like I can't walk into the doctors and be like, hey doc, you know, test me for Myasthenia Gravis. He's gonna be like, what? You know, test me for MS. They're gonna be like, why? No, we have to do our basic. We have to get you to come back 12 times, you know, before we do like extensive.
What you said was interesting, because girls, or rather women and moms that have come on, you just hear this all the time, that a mother has to take care of herself before she can take care of her kids. And in your case, it's not like this poetry, motivational thing that you're trying to tell yourself. You really have to take care of yourself.
Survival.
Yeah, to take care of your kids.
Yeah, it's literally survival. Because if I am not okay, I can't take care of my kids. You know what I mean? And they don't want, like, they love when their dad goes to their games and stuff. But it doesn't really count as much unless mom and dad are there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
it feels incomplete.
Yeah, there have been days where I'm like, Mama, I'm tired. You know, I'm not okay. I'm not, you know, I'm going to go to Tim Hortons and get you a coffee. You know, you know, to them, let's fix it. You know what I mean? Let's fix it. And
boys especially, just fixers.
Boys, they just want you to fix it. You know, they want the loudest person in the crowd there, and that's me. I'm very loud. I cheer for my kids. I yell at my kids. If they don't do something good, I'm out there. I'm like, you suck. What are you doing? You know? And parents will laugh at me, and they'll be like, hey, you know, are you okay? And I'll say, this is my life right here. This right here, this is my life.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
31.
That's like it's a proper blow to the stomach, because at that age, I'm still 26, but even now, like, I kind of look to the future and have an idea of how I want it to look like, right?
We all do.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have this happen at 31, and it's completely life change. Like, the word you used was, the question you told that doctor was, am I going to feel like myself? Like, that is so scary, thinking of, what if I had to ask that question before, like, at some point? It's difficult.
Yeah. Because for years, I was like, who am I? Like, who is this, you know? Like, why am I like, you know? And it drives you crazy. It really does. I did end up on antidepressants. I'll be honest about that. I did. Because even though I was relieved from getting an answer, and even though, you know, I was excited to start treatment and feel better, I did eventually end up on them. Short term, but I was in a dark place because I wanted my old self back. And it was bad. It was bad. Because even after starting my medication, it wasn't a magic pill. You know, it wasn't it was just like, man, I would drive and I'd just go park somewhere and I would just cry. Because, like, why? You know, and you get to that point and then it took so long. And I still remember I walked in and I go, I'll take those antidepressants now. And the doctor looks at me and he's like, why? I go, I'm not okay. I'm really not okay. I was in a dark, dark place. I felt like a burden, a big burden on my parents, on my husband, on my kids. I felt like a terrible mom, you know. It's like they were 3 and 4. You know what I'm saying? And this is like when they want to play. This is when they want to jump on people. This is when they wrestle and they want to wrestle, you know, their parents. And they want to go to the park and they want you to ride a bike with them. And they want, you know, and I can't. And I couldn't. Even after I started the medication, it was still like.
What did you learn about yourself during that period?
What I've learned about myself was a lot of things that mattered really didn't matter, like at all. And what I mean by that is, you know, 28-year-old me, 29, 30-year-old me would say, oh, I really want that purse. Like, it's all I ever wanted, you know? It's all I ever wanted is that purse. And it's always something next. And I want to go to the hair salon. I'm going to fix my hair. I'm going to go to the mall. I'm going to, you know, all these things that are just normal things people do, you know? And I'll never forget. And this is like when I started to come to this realization. One of my best friends was having a tolbe, and she was getting engaged to my husband's best friend. And it was huge, you know, to us, because I loved them both so dearly. And I had started having these symptoms in April. Their tolbe was, I think, in August. And I had seen this Gucci purse. It was like a small black Gucci purse. And we were at the mall one day, and I told my husband, I'm like, that's it. And he goes, stop, you know? And I'm like, come on, please, you know? And he goes, okay. Not that moment, because he just tells me that to kind of, you know, get rid of me. So it was the day they're tolbe, and he called me, and he goes, are you ready? You know, tolbe's in an hour. And I'm like, I'm not okay. I can't go. I was crying, you know, I was so bad. And he goes, no, I got you a surprise. And I go, Tarek, I can't go. I don't feel good. I'm shaking. My hands are shaking. My face is shaking. My voice is shaking. I can't, like, I was so bad. I was in such a bad place. And he came home, and he busts open in the door, and he called my name. I walk over to him, and I go, yes. And I go, you couldn't come to me? You know, I was laying down. He goes, I got you a surprise. And he has a Gucci box in his hand. And I just looked, and I go, oh, okay. And he looks, and he's like, hold on, it's the one you wanted. And I go, oh, thank you. And he's looking at me like,
he's anticipating a reaction.
Like, what's, you know, like,
yeah.
He sensed, which a lot of people sense, because my parents were like that. And unfortunately, in the community, a lot of people think like, oh, okay, they're not well. Let's give them something to make them feel better. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So his reaction was, okay, she didn't feel well to go. Maybe this will get her excited and motivated to get up and go, you know? Everybody's like, oh, you look so tired. What's wrong? You know? I didn't even have an answer. I didn't have an answer. You know, at that point, I didn't know what was wrong with me. All I knew is I got a new Gucci purse that I didn't give a crap about anymore. About 5 months ago, I cared about it. A lot, you know? And that's what it came to. What I learned is really when you come into predicaments where nothing means anything. Nothing. If you don't have your health. Because I would trade anything. Any Gucci purse, any shoe, anything for the old me.
To have had your health in that moment. Yeah.
And that's, that's something it's tough to, realize, but really, because I was such a burden at that time. Nobody said I was a burden, let me just make that clear. But I felt like a burden, and like my parents, they're, they're in their 60s. They're taking me to the doctor. I was 30, and it's supposed to be like the opposite, So my dad would come and he'll be like, come on, Baba, I'm going to take you to the doctor. Come on. And it would crush me because I'm like, I'm supposed to be taking you to the doctor, And my mom, same thing. My mom, she was a trooper. And then I have my husband. God bless my husband, He's the best, he's my age. So we were the same age at that time. And that's not something you want, you think is like okay for a guy that's 31, like your wife is sick, your wife is dead on the couch every day, your wife is miserable, because that's what I was miserable because I wasn't well. And he was he's the real MVP, because to be honest, I don't think I could have dealt with what he dealt with.
Like if it was the other way around?
I don't think so. I'll be honest with you. And it hurts me when I think about it. Like, man, he's so amazing. Like, I don't care. If he tells me I need food like 2-3 times, okay, no problem. Like my sisters will be like, oh, tell him to get food. I'm like, no, it's fine. I got him.
Some people are God sent, you feel like.
He is, He helped me with a lot of stuff. He would, do the laundry. He would do dishes, just to like, he'll see I'm tired and he'll know my mom is coming and he'll say, you know what, it's okay, خلاص, I got it. Haram, you work too, like a long time, long days and stuff. But he'll say, oh, you wanna go out to eat? You wanna go on a date? And I couldn't.
Rana, the difficult thing, I mean, a lot of it's difficult, but one of the symptoms of the illness is your body's very tired, but the symptoms of your body being tired isn't just as simple as I can't get off the couch. It's I don't feel purpose in a way. Like I don't feel like I'm a productive human in the life that I'm living. The people that are like, if the people around me need help right now, I'm
of no use.
Yeah. I think that's really the dagger.
That's what really led me to going to get antidepressants. And I'll be honest with you, because like I told you, when I would see my husband and he's trying so hard, he's trying so hard. Let me take you out. Let me do this. Let me do that. And I just can't. So I felt like a terrible wife. Can't. Like I am unable to. Like it is physically and mentally impossible. I wasn't able to do a lot of things. And I felt like a terrible wife, and it crushed me because he was trying so hard. And I didn't want to be married anymore. I came to a point, I'm like, I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to be married. I don't want to be anything. I am such a burden. And that's what I felt like, And it took, time. And I was driving one day and my husband had called me and he wanted to do something. And he's like, oh, let me guess, you're tired. He was joking because, like I said, he was really good with the whole thing. And I said, yeah, I am tired, and I took it personally. He meant it as a joke, but I was so sensitive. And I just cried and I cried and I cried the whole way home. And I'm like, my God, I want to die. Literally. I don't want to be here.
In your head, was that like association, like people, that's what people see me now as a person that's always tired?
Always tired. And there's so many times, I don't know if it's a autumn mentality. I don't know if it's what it is, but you'll say, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, Kilna, we're tired. I'm tired, and it's really, really, really gets the best of you. And that was the trigger to go to the doctor and say, like, hey, I'm not okay. Like, I don't even want to be here because I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mom. And, I'm not doing anything to indicate that I'm not a good mom or a good wife. But that was the problem, is I'm not doing anything, And I did. I started them. Didn't really help because the root cause wasn't fixed. I became numb is all I did with those. Numb. Like, I felt nothing.
Like, yeah, technically, like you're tired, but on steroids. But if I want to summarize what you are, you're tired, and tired is a feeling that a lot of people associate with on a day-to-day.
Right.
So it's different than you asking me, like, hey, Jaafar, what's wrong? And if I tell you I have cancer, you're going to be like, oh, like, this is one of the big words. Like, I have cancer, right? Tired is not associated with the big words. It's like, okay, we're tired of everyone. Like you just said, everyone's tired. We all get tired on our day-to-day. So you're maybe a little more tired, but like, how much more tired can you be? You're still using the term tired,
right?
And
that was the word I used because that was like the best description I had, And like anybody that would say like, oh, we're tired, I'm tired, we're all tired, and I'm like, no, this is a different tired. This is like, I am, like I took a medication I shouldn't, and now I can't use anything tired. Like, I can't open my eyes tired. I can't chew tired. Like, it's a weird tired. A lot of people don't understand. Like, right now you could tell me like, oh, you don't look sick. What does sick look like? You know what I'm saying? What does that look like? And, like my mom, even when I was going through these things, okay, get up, go, get dressed, do your thing, And I'm like, if I was physically capable, I would. There's nothing more I would love. I have not been to a mall in years.
Really?
No.
Oh, wow.
No. Last year, I like pumped myself up so bad. I told my husband, I'm going to 12 Oaks. He can't tell me anything about it. And he goes, really? You sure? I said, yep, I feel good. I'm going to the mall. By the time I got to 12 Oaks, my legs were so exhausted because I don't drive. I don't drive far. I really don't. Like, even till now. You
still don't drive far?
No, because I still like, I think I have like PTSD for things that have happened of like before I was, doing treatments or doing medications and stuff like that. And I've had incidents where I drove somewhere and went to get out of the car and my legs didn't work. And now I'm far. So what do? Do I call somebody to come take me? Do I call an ambulance? Do I call my husband and say, hey, I shouldn't have drove this far and I knew I shouldn't have, but this is what happened, So it's happened before where I've gotten to a destination and I just get so weak and I'm there for nothing. I'm in a parking lot. I would go swimming, take my kids swimming. I would swim anywhere we went, if we went on vacation or anything like that. Nail salon. I don't go to the nail salons. This is a workout. People go there to relax. For me, it's a workout. If my kids have sporting events, like anything, baseball game, football game, I sit and I wait. I wait for their game because that's where my energy is going. I don't want to use it, and then time to go to the game, and I'm roasted. I start off like an iPhone. I have a full battery, and as the day goes, it just, it's just a little bit faster than an iPhone.
You're making me think of what the sick look like, because when I saw you outside, and if we had this scheduled, I would have probably passed by you. And subconsciously, I would have said, that looks like a healthy, good adult, correct?
Right.
And this is the like, and to a certain point, this is related also to something we have in religion. It's like, give your brother 70 excuses before you say like they did this wrong. So if you did something that annoyed me, I'm like, okay, 70 excuses. And it makes me think how many people are going through things that they don't even know what they are, but they're just feeling things, or they might have said something that they don't know why they said it, or why their body reacted in this way. And it's interesting because we don't think like that usually. We think everything is normal, although it's pretty opposite.
Yeah, you never really know what anybody's going through, and that was a big thing for me. Is a lot of times, even when I felt at my worst, I would have my sister come, do my hair. I have a wedding. I have somewhere to go. I have somewhere to be. I have to, and I'll get dressed and I'll go. Hi, how are you? How are you? Good. That's it. And then somebody will be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. You were at a wedding. Huh? And I'm like, you know what it took to get to that wedding? Do you know how many days it took to recover after going to that wedding? The crazy thing is people will say, like I was telling you earlier, alhamdulillah, could be worse. And you ask, what's worse for people? Jaafar, to you, what's a life sentence of something? You know what I'm saying? When I started my treatments and I looked at my doctor, I said, how long? I'm thinking he's going to tell me 5-6 months, Go on, ring your bell, do your thing, move on. We'll test you every year or two to see, No. Every 3 weeks I go, I have a Metaport in my chest and I do treatment through it. It's not too bad. But it's like, man, okay, I feel good from these treatments. But then come these days, my sister Maya, she's a therapist upstairs. She got me a cup, a tumbler, and it says, have a wonderful day. And it has a little sun right in the middle. So every treatment day, I fill it up with coffee. And I look at it and I go, it's going to be a good day. Look, it has to be, because the anticipation of it, these needles are long. They're not comfortable. And it just sucks. It sucks so bad. And alhamdulillah, because it does keep me afloat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does keep me, like, I look alive. I don't look like a zombie. I can get up out of bed. I can drive myself here, I can go to my kids' sports, things like this. And that's okay for me. That's okay for me. What people don't understand is what it takes to be here, And I'm mediocre, by the way. Just don't ask me to walk a block. I don't walk far. I can't walk far. I can go up the steps like 2-3 times maybe, and, we're going to call it quits. Can't take baths. If I take a bath, like, I love baths. And I get out, I'm shaking. All my muscles are, going crazy. And it truly, once in a while now, more than before, but now once in a while, it like literally crushes me deep inside. And it's kind of like, man, anything. And when somebody says, it could be worse. And you're like, but why? Why does it have to be worse? Why? What is the indication of worse to a person like you, Jaafar? Like, if I were to tell you, this is what's going on with me, and you could say it could be worse, what's, from your perspective, what do you think?
You know what? I think, first of all, people that say it could be worse, number one, just want to say something to maybe lift up the mood. Like, I don't think the intention is bad, but I think it's a lazy way to do that, because first of all, the things that you're saying is, I'm trying to, like you said, you can't walk a block. I'm in my head, I'm picturing myself walking a block or running on the treadmill every day, or not being able to take a bath. I'm picturing myself doing that, and then I'm stripping that away. And there's something in me that's like, that feels very bad. Like, you can't drive. I love road trip. Like, I love to get behind the wheel and go. So I can't come and tell you it could be worse when I can't even relate to 1% of the things that you're going through, and I think that's where, like, this mentality of, if I want to be empathetic with you, I have to meet you where you're at least first, right?
100%. And it's hard to get there. You know what
Like,
I
I
mean?
have to tell you, that sucks. Like, that's very hard.
It does.
I
you
can't be
know?
like, oh, alhamdulillah, at least you still have your legs. I can't use my
Right?
leg.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
You know what I mean?
it's things like that. And the problem is these things that you're naming, we take them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Of course, everything I just named, I take for granted, 100%.
But and you had asked me earlier on in the conversation, you know, what have you like realized about yourself? That I took these things for granted. These things were gone in a day. One day, I woke up and my legs and then you know, and you're like, how, why, what did I do wrong? How did we get here? You know, and I have my days, I'm not going to lie, you know, I came to the realization that, you know, with this condition, I learned to be a lot more grateful. I don't take things for granted. Everything just kind of everything makes me happy. You know, kid made me this. He insists I wear it every single day. I love it. I love it as much as I love, you know, a gold bracelet or something else. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Thank you. You took the time to make it for me. Like, you know, maybe back then I would have been like, oh my God, I'm not wearing this thing, you know? But it's the thought that counts. Like my kids, you know, they'll do like small gestures. My son, he made me a Mother's Day card. You know, they do them in school. And I'll open it up and it says like, I love you. You're the best mom ever. I wish you didn't have myasthenia gravis. And that crushed me. Thoughtful that was his wish. But I sensed like, oh my God, it's affecting my kids, you know? Even though, alhamdulillah, like past few years have been like really steady and okay, you know, at least okay. And it crushed me. And I go, Mom, you know, why would you write that? He goes, I don't want you to be sick, Mom. I don't like it, you know? I go, yeah, but I don't tell you anything. I don't complain to you. I don't take naps anymore, you know? And I know, it's a thought in my head. I just want Allah to make you feel better. And tell me, yeah, inshallah, you know? And that's a lot of things people also, you know, will tell me. Oh, you still taking your infusions? And I'll go, yeah, you know, yeah. Inshallah, you don't need them again. I'm like, inshallah, you know? Or I'll have days where I'm just mad. I'm mad, you know? It's a normal reaction, and I'll be upset. And my mom will be like, you know, what's wrong? And I'll say, nothing. I'm just, you know, why me? That's kufr. Why you say that? You know, obviously, you know, it comes from a really hurt place. Obviously, I know there's meaning behind everything. What the meaning is, you know, for myself, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe, you know, taking things for granted. I don't know. There's no definitive answer.
So you haven't really dug, because I feel like people, when they go through this type of chaos, they tend to look for purpose, and that purpose kind of fuels them in a way. Like, for example, I had this young gentleman named Muhammad, had a heart condition, also a very rare heart condition, very young, had needed a heart transplant, and he went into like this place where he wanted to find the purpose behind it. Why would God choose me at this young of an age, still a teenager, to go through heart surgery? And now, for example, he just got accepted to Wayne State Medical School, and he's trying to be he's trying to be the doctor that would have helped him as a young kid. But I feel like people tend to go to these places when they're put in this chaos and this mess. Did you like sit down with yourself, or like had this feeling?
You know, yeah, I had these thoughts, you know, why, how, you know, and I changed a lot of things, a lot. I stopped eating inflammatory food, like foods that can cause like inflammation, and I stopped smoking narghile. I mean, there was a lot of things I used to live on caffeine. I cut out caffeine for a while. Now I've refueled back on caffeine because it didn't make a difference, you know, and there's a lot of things that I sat and tried to focus on, like, what could have caused it? Why, what can I do? My son might, one of my boys, they might say like, I want to be a neurologist one day. And my son has told me that before. I want to cure myasthenia gravis, he tells me, There's no cure, but there's treatment to keep you, just to help, help with symptoms, alleviate symptoms and stuff. I don't know, maybe I was put to tell people like, because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people, I'll tell them, you have to advocate for yourself. I don't care what doctor, how many doctors say, no, nothing, zero. Well, then I got to do something else. I got to go somewhere else. I got to see somebody else. You're fighting for yourself, So maybe this will help somebody, years and years, and just trying to find an answer. And I don't know. I don't go down that rabbit hole anymore. It takes me to really dark places, Jaafar.
Maybe you shouldn't want the answer that quick. Maybe you should let the answer come to you, right, in a way. We tend to want things fast and instant, right, sure, in the same moment. But I don't believe the timing that we think is appropriate is the same timing that God thinks is appropriate. So I'm pretty sure that you will have that moment where you're like, okay, this is why this happened, and this makes sense. And if it's not in this life, it's in the next life, where you can see it clearly. Okay, I'm glad that I went through that. It's not an easy task.
It's not.
But like, let's say it's not Jaafar sitting here. It's 30-year-old Rana. Mm-hmm. That was, quote unquote, the old Rana. Yeah. Like, what's a conversation that you would like to have with her?
I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know. I don't, I really don't know.
There's nothing you would like to tell her?
Tell her?
Yeah.
That I miss her? That I wish I could be her? There's not because deep down, I'm still the same person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still the same person. To myself, I'm such a dork. I like to sit, drink coffee, watch TV, crime movie, crime shows, stuff like that. That's me. That was me then. That's me now. But really, just the energy, the energy I had back then was incredible. The patience I had back then was incredible. For certain things, for the things I was able to do. I used to go on long drives. I used to get coffee and just drive, turn on my music, put my kids to sleep. That's why I put them to sleep, just so, I have some time to myself. Swim. I used to go to the ocean. I used to just lay there, like a freaking fish. And now if I go, I just look into the ocean and I'm like, oh, I wish. Because I did it in Florida. It put me out for 3 months.
What are some things you can tell her to prepare her for the next 6 years of her life?
It gets better. It gets easier.
I heard this thing one time where you see how everyone kind of has like a hero, someone that they look up to. And this person was saying that you should look up to yourself in 10 years. Yeah. And that's the person you should always be chasing. Jaafar 10 years ago should have been chasing Jaafar today, and Jaafar today should be chasing Jaafar 10 years ago. Do you, listening to this, do you think that's still what you would like to do? Or do you kind of want us to look backwards and be like, no, Rana 10 years ago is the Rana I want to be?
I love the Rana 10 years ago. love the things I was able to do. But I think I've shaped into a different person. I think I prioritize things that I probably wouldn't have prioritized in the past, you know. So I think I've become a person I want to be, you know, a person that I think is appropriate as a good mom and a good wife. And, yeah, I think I'm okay with who I am now. Really. Maybe not a few years ago, you know. It took me a long time to cope, to get over this funk. But we're good.
And you probably need some more time too. And it's a never-ending thing. Like everyone, with everything.
I have my days.
Yeah.
And like I said, overall, I just came to realize, hey, this is who you are. I can sit and cry about it and be upset and depressed and anxious about these things that I have no control over. Because reality is I don't have control over it. I could be good today. I'm not good tomorrow.
Right.
But chances are in a few days I'm going to be okay. Maybe not 100%. Because I'll never be 100%. But I'm going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay to me. And to the people on Instagram that see my pictures and, you know.
There's a lot to think of when I'm thinking about your story, because like, first of all, just talk about like movement and exercise and what kind of positive effect that has on someone's psyche. And you can't do that.
You know, I tend to sit in the sun a lot.
Sun?
Once I see the sun out, I just go sit out there. I just try to absorb, like, you know, some sort of energy from out there. It makes me feel good. I like it. I'll put my feet in the water at the pools or something, you know. I'll 1v1 my son, as he tells me, in like a short game of basketball. And he'll tell me, okay, take a break, you know. I'm already beating you, but take a break and then we'll try again later. And they get it, you know. And they've learned to, you know, so, like work with me on that. Okay, we'll go up to 4 because she's going to be tired, you know.
Yeah.
But they learn to work with me. They accommodate me. And they keep me active, you know, as to what I can. Nobody 1v1s to 4.
Right. One thing I'm also thinking about is discipline and how much people struggle leaving the things that they supposedly love to do, and how you were kind of forced into that, like the long drives. And then now in your case it's even more difficult, because usually discipline is associated with like doing difficult things like working out or stopping an addiction or things of that nature. And in your case, you had to be disciplined out of the things that you love to do, whether it was like going for that walk or that long drive or swimming.
Yeah.
Like these things, people don't usually discipline themselves from the things that they love to do. Discipline is, I'm going to stick to this diet. I'm going to really try to stick to this diet. I'm really going to try to wake up early.
Yeah.
Like these are hard things that we try to do. Your discipline is, I have to become okay with the idea that I'm never going to be able to swim again. Or I have to be okay with the idea that I can't climb a flight of stairs or drive and be the passenger, be the driver in the road trip.
Right. And it's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And it's the only option I had. I could have gave up, you know. Because a lot of people be like, oh, you're so strong, you're so strong, you're so resilient. You're the strongest person I know. And I'm like, I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice.
But Anna, baby, that's how the strongest people are made. When they don't have a choice, you know, but to be strong.
Because you don't know how strong you are.
Exactly.
See, because when I, years ago, I'm telling you, I was at rock bottom. I was like, man, I don't want to be here.
What did that look like? What does rock bottom look like?
Not good. I didn't, you know, I'm telling you, I love my husband dearly. And I didn't want to be married to him. I love my kids. I'm obsessed with them. I didn't want to be a mom. I was like, you know, I was there. That's all I felt like I was. I was just there. Like, oh, you know, if I walked into the house and my husband's on the couch every day, just on the couch, doesn't move, you know, doesn't eat, I didn't make him food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, this is getting old. I am tired. You know, you are exhausting me by looking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. I was grossed out of myself, but there was nothing I can do about it. If that makes any sense. You know, when you sleep too long and you're like, oh my God, ew, let me just shower. Now let me refresh myself and feel good about myself. I was, you know, I don't know. I really, I don't know. But that's, I had to survive. I had to get, you know, I had to be there for my kids. Because even in the darkest places, I'm like, oh, wait, who's going to marry my husband? Oh, who's going to be his wife? You know, that's my job, you know? Who's going to take care of my kids? And I'm like, oh, no. I can't have anybody take care of my kids. No, I don't trust them with my sister. You know, I have 4 sisters. Not really, though. I do trust my sisters. But nobody, you know, you just think and you're like, I don't want anybody to do my job. This is my job. This is, you know, and you just pray and you pray and you pray and you pray that just give me that little bit so I can fulfill just these duties, just these little things, you know, make my husband food, dress my kids, take them to the park, stupid things we take for granted, you know.
And you definitely were at that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to either let this literally make me collapse, or I'm forcing myself into being this strong person where I'm going to take back control.
Yeah, I was down there. I was there.
If someone's going through something like that and they're in a very dark place and they feel, they're listening to that right now and they're like, I understand how it is to be in a place dark like that. Maybe I don't have this illness, but I'm in this dark place and I have no idea what to do and where to go, and I feel useless. What are some words that you would be able to share with someone like that that will make them at least ponder a little more and scrape a little bit more to find that energy and that drive to get up again?
Yeah. So, first off, it's okay to not be okay. Okay, if that makes any sense. It's okay. Okay. And it's okay to get help. And I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you need to vent. You need to tell somebody what's going on with you. Even if you sound crazy or just like a broken record, it's okay. You need to let it out. There will be better days, no matter how dark it is. You know, there's always a light, literally, at the end of the tunnel. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be in a year. But there's something, you know, there's something you want to survive for. Anything, you know, be it your mom, your dad. You know, I don't want my mom to go through that. I don't want my dad to feel that pain. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my husband to, you know, miss his wife and find another one. And, oh my God, she's going to take care of my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to think like that.
Are you actually alluding to the fact that you wanted to end it?
I was not in a good place. It was bad. Again, I was like, and I was strong enough to go to my doctor and say, you know, and not many people are, unfortunately. But, you know, my whole life, I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if I walked out and the doctor was like, oh my God, this girl's a nut job. I don't care. It's not, you know, or the nurses, you know, because when you go to a doctor, you sense like everybody's looking at you and, oh, here she is. And then, you know, you walk to the back and you hear them like, oh, you know, and I don't care. That didn't bother me. I just said, like, oh, I need help. I don't want to be here anymore. And he's looking at me like, beware. And I'm like, here. I'm no help. I'm no help to my husband. I'm no help to my kids. I'm no help to my siblings. It's so bad. It's so bad. I'm just disgusted with where I am. And he just looked at me and he's like, okay, do you want to go like talk to somebody? No, I got my sister. I'll talk to my sister. She's a therapist. And my friend's a therapist. And I have therapists all over, you know? And if somebody, you know, it's a lot of times, like, you just need to find the root cause. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew why I wasn't well, why I didn't want to be here, why I didn't want to keep trying, why I didn't want to keep fighting. I wasn't getting better. So it felt like I was fighting for nothing. I couldn't even fight. I had no fight left in me. But you always have fight left in you. You do. As much as you think you don't, you always have fight left in you. And I'm glad I did that, you know. I'm glad I went to the doctor. I'm glad I told him. I'm glad he gave me medication. And to be honest, like, once my medication started to work, like my actual myasthenia medicine and my treatments started to kick in and like come in full effect, and I was like at a steady, you know, just not one day this, one day that, or just always tired. Mentally, I started to feel better. And I went back to the doctor and I was like, hey, I don't want these antidepressants anymore. And he's like, whoa, you know, relax. You can't just stop. And I go, okay, that's fine, you know. And I told him I feel like I'm better, but I'm numb, and I don't like that feeling. I don't want to be numb. It's not a good feeling. And he goes, okay, well, you have to wean off. So, you know, so like a 1-year anniversary, and I was completely done. And I never took them again. And alhamdulillah, they were, you know, they're good if you need them. You know, like actually need them.
It's good that you were able to stop it, though. Some people aren't able to stop.
I'm telling you, this is my core belief. Please, I'm not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I'm not anybody in this field. Sister, my friend, they're going to kill me. They're going to hate me right now. I just think if you know what the root cause is and you can actually fight it, beat it, whatever it is, I think you can be okay, you know?
What are some concluding thoughts that you have?
You know, just really, you never really know what anybody's going through. People said that I know, like people I see on an everyday, they don't know that I'm sick. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know that I've dealt with stuff. There's just really be more mindful of, you know, when somebody tells you something like, oh, I'm not okay, or I don't feel well, or, you know, like if somebody comes up to me with depression, I'm not this is not my field. I mean, maybe I can feel with them a little bit, but not, I dealt with it because I knew what was, you know, I know what the root cause of that was. Right. I can't go tell them, oh, you're going to be fine, you know, fix it. You know, it's not something you tell somebody. I can't tell somebody that's struggling with infertility, oh, kids are annoying anyways, mine drive me crazy. You know, that's not an answer. Like, joking or not, it's not, you know, I can't, like, you can't come tell me, oh, you work out, your muscles will get stronger. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? I just think people need to be like a little bit more mindful of just how they respond to things, you know? And again, a lot of times people say things and they don't mean it to be rude or offensive, you know? Like you told me, when somebody says like, oh, you don't look sick yet, they don't mean it in a, you know, offensive way or a rude way. They're trying their best to be nice about it and stuff. But there's certain things like people can, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that. I wish you didn't have to go through that. Perfect. You know? Yeah. It could be worse. Alhamdulillah, it's you and not your kids. Why does it have to be my kids? You know? Yeah. Why does it have to be something else to, you know, make this situation better? There's not, you know, that's a lot of things. Like,
it's kind of cultural more than anything.
Really. It really is. It really is.
Because if you think about it, like, if this makes sense or not, 10 out of 10 times those words don't make sense, but they're just there. And
they don't make sense, and they're just there. And, you know, it's people trying. And really, a lot of times people will say something and then just go like, I'm sure they're like, damn, why did I say that? Should have never said that. you know.
So, yeah.
And it becomes habit. It really does. Like we're
It's
not,
like small talk, chit
it
chat,
is.
whatever.
It's like it's things you throw out there, and a lot of times the problem is a lot of people they lose empathy. They're not empathetic. You know, this world is moving so fast that people just worry about themselves. So they don't really care truthfully, people don't care what's going on in somebody else's life. It doesn't affect them.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like me right now, you could be like, oh, I had a long day. Like, oh, I'm sorry, Jaafar. I'm like, oh, I don't care.
You wouldn't even think that.
You know,
you just really don't care.
Okay, like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, I hope you feel better, you know, and then just go home, watch my TV show and drink my coffee and go about my day. Because that's the reality. Like I could tell somebody all day, man, I don't feel, they're going to be like, man, I'm sorry, you know. Could be worse. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, could be worse. And they're going to go home. They're going to drink their coffee. They're going to do whatever it is they were doing.
Right.
I didn't change, you know, the way their life goes, but stupid little sentences, they really do affect a person. They could, if somebody is mentally just drained or exhausted, one little sentence it can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of put you over that like little edge and stuff.
Rana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you I think there's a lot of value in listening to this. Like I told you in the beginning, before we even started, there's the special thing when you talk to people that have gone through things that no one has really gone through. And this is one of those things. And I really think people are going to listen. They're going to be like, man, I actually learned something about myself today that I might have not known, or I might be taking these things for granted, and I really have to look deeper into my life. And thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
And, you know, hopefully this just helps people, you know, with other chronic conditions too, because there's so many. And they know that you do have better days. Even if it's not 100%, you still have better days.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Thank you, Jaafar.